Welcome back, everybody. This is Grace, and this is another episode of the Yulgar Only series. The Yulgar Only series is where I use very basic gear from accessible shops that anyone can get without questing to take on either challenging quests or gather important items that are very meta or powerful for one reason or another. Today we're going to be taking on the Greatest Warrior 2 quest, which has a rather difficult boss depending on your setup, or Torn Carnage, and which rewards the Essence of Carnage spell, among with other things. But the Essence of Carnage spell summons a very powerful guest for both mages and warriors, so it's a very strong meta item that I'm going to show you how to get. First off is some basic monster questing. I'll mute the audio and speed this up. We're running a very basic main stat Endurance Charisma build. Should work with any main stat, we're not doing anything too crazy here. With that being said, I'll see you at the boss fight. Okay, so we're about to get right into the boss fight. Let me make sure I have my ready before battle inventory turned on. And this boss actually has a pretty unique mechanic. And by pretty unique, I mean it was used on the initial version in the War Saga quest from the Dragonspine quests like 10 years ago. And now it was brought back to this guy. And overall, it's a very challenging mechanic to play against, particularly if you don't know exactly what's happening or why. Now let me get out my note so I can read off the mechanic and explain how to play against it. So, Torn Carnage is a boss that has a really high strength stat, 500 at level 150, and he also has negative luck, which is important to know. His highest resistances are, as you can see, Earth and Light at 150, and he's resistant to Dark and Wind. Pretty standard stuff. He has a few other special mechanics. His basic attacks are one hit, and they claim they inflict control, but it pretty much never succeeds. I've never seen it happen. His SP attack has two equally likely animations, either 2 hits or 3 hits, and it deals significantly higher damage. His main mechanic, and the one that can get you if you're not careful, is his damage ramp ability, which increases his outgoing damage based on the ratio of hits to misses in the battle. Torn's Carnage damage is equal to its base damage, and then it adds 100% times the number of hits times 2 minus the number of misses times 3 divided by 20. So that's kind of a random thing to say, but basically if you and him hit a total of 10 hits, not turns, hits, his damage will double. And that being said, it's very easy to hit 10 hits in a single turn if you use items like Trontosaurus Rex, Fireball Z, even the Necromancer Haunting spells, although of course you wouldn't use them against because he's 25 to Dark Res. Any source of Prismatic Burn actually counts as 8 hits for this guy, due to my testing, so inflicting him with those types of statuses or those high hit count abilities will really mess you up. So, to get this fight started, we're going to start off in a Darkness Armor, because of course he deals Darkness damage, and I highly recommend using either a Darkness Defensive Misc or a Damage Misc. Either way, we're going to stick with the Darkness Defensive Misc, but you can probably use a Damage Misc depending on how well you nuke. And of course you're going to want to use a Earth weapon or Light weapon. Now, the main thing here is that what I'm going to be doing is using underleveled items to miss him a lot, which will actually make him deal reduced damage. So this Queen's Crown, you might not have noticed, but it only gives me 5% outgoing water damage. That's because it's the level 15 version. So this will summon, I believe, a 4-hit guest or a 5-hit guest, and the guest's accuracy should be extremely low, even though I have strength and charisma. That's the same with the 4-eyed freak. Their accuracy should be way lower than 50%, and because the misses count for 3 and the hits count for 2, as long as you're missing more than half the time, you are gonna really profit in terms of reducing his damage. In fact, you might even see it in this fight, but you can actually reduce his damage to 0 if you miss enough times compared to the total hits each turn. With that being said, this armor is one of few that's actually a 1-hit armor, which makes it easier to kill the boss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the advanced Lunaneko armor, which is the same as long as I turn on elemental attunement. The monster will deal 1x damage to me, but it has 2 hits instead. So I'm just doing this to make it a little harder in case you don't happen to have a 1-hit armor. But with that being said, the way we're going to take down the boss at a high level is we're going to use level 15 or level 5 pets and guests to miss most of the time. And I'm also going to use my Dark Defensive Mist just to be extra safe. So see, we got 3 misses and 2 hits. I think a miss and a hit. And so he's going to do reduced damage. I think let's count the hits and misses that turn on the battle log, just to be super careful. So this was our attack. We hit once, we missed once. Then here is our guest. It hit once, it hit twice, it missed, it hit again, and it missed. And then our 4-eyed freak missed twice. So we got, you know what, I'm done counting. But the point is we're getting more than half misses, or approximately half misses. And that will make it super, oh, that was a lot of hits. That'll make it super easy to ramp this guy's damage into the negatives. See, he's already doing 0 damage. So we don't even need this Liquid Courage Mist anymore. Probably. Because he's doing almost no damage. So yes, his damage ramp can go into the negatives, as you're seeing now, and now we have a totally free ride to the end of the battle. If we get a couple of lucky breaks of hitting a bunch of times, we might start to take a little bit of damage, but I don't think that'll happen. So yeah, this is a super easy way to take down the boss if you're at max level. By using underleveled gear, you'll miss a lot, and even if you have Charisma trained, which I have 250 of, your low-level pets and guests will still miss most of the time, and you'll be just fine. Just make sure not to use pet and guest boosting gear by accident, like Soul Neko for example would be a bad choice for this. It probably shouldn't matter, you should probably still be okay, but if you do find that you're hitting a lot more than I am, then that'll probably be why you're accidentally boosting your pet and your guest accuracy. So just to showcase this, if you haven't fought this boss before, you might be like, oh, this guy's a total chump. He does no damage because you can miss him really easily. I'm going to dismiss the guest and hide the pet, and see how high his damage ramps up after a few turns of just trading attacks back and forth. Okay, so let's see how much damage this guy will do after, I don't know, let's say 3 casts. I think it's going to be absolutely nuts. We're also going to be using Fairy Godmother on the MP heal mode, so that'll be another 3 hits every turn. So it should be, let's see, just a Dark Shield. It should be 18 hits each turn. So let's actually switch out of Spellcaster Lean as well. Go to full defense so we can live a little longer. And I do have a Dark Mist. I won't use it yet. No real reason. And I've got an Accuracy Steroid, Ring of Precision, and let's just do it. Fireball Z. This should do numbers immediately. Oh, and we've got the barrier too. So 430 barrier, and he hits me for 354. So that was like 780 damage. Let's see how much he does this turn. So far we're gonna have 36 hits by the end of this turn. Oh, maybe actually 38 because of the barrier hits. Maybe 39 because of the barrier hits. Yeah, and he hits me for 1300. This turn I'm going to equip the Shadow Stalker's misc, so I take less dark damage. So now, whatever number he deals, the damage is double relative to turn 1. Oh, I missed him. Okay. I'm done counting hits, but it's like 50 or so, 55. And yeah, so he hit me for 1600 there. Let's hit him another time. That was a basic attack. 1600 basic attack. Is that 3k? 3k through the defensive misc. And for the last turn, let's oh, I don't have enough mana. Oh well. We'll use Grasp Essence or Precise Haunting. Why not? But let's take off the misc and see how much damage he hits for raw. So obviously he hits me for 2k. So obviously don't use high hit count effects, but a smaller version of this can happen at high levels if you're just killing him slowly and you have, say, a healing pet hitting 3 times a turn, or a randomly high hit count guest hitting 4 times a turn. Can really mess you up and really ruin your kill, so that's why this boss is a challenge. This is the threat of the boss. I'm also going to use Ring of Precision to simulate using a higher accuracy setup, maybe a strength drive, maybe a stat drive of some variety, or another boosting misc. But it seems like we'll take him down super easy. Yeah, so now he's starting to deal positive damage again, but of course it's way too late. Now, one thing I do want to showcase is that these hits, it's not just dot damage, it's not just pet and guest damage, it's also healing damage. So let's put Fairy Godmother on healing mode, and I'm just going to drink MP potions to stall my turn without doing damage. And you'll see that these 3 hits will count for his damage ramping. All of a sudden, he's going to start hitting a lot harder. I haven't tested if potions count. I don't think they do, but either way, you're not going to be chugging potions most of the time, I hope. But as you can see, his damage is quickly going up, and that's because Fairy Godmother is hitting me 3 times a turn with healing. It's not just hits on the monster, it's hits on you of all varieties. But with that being said, let's kill the boss and go into the item rewards. Also, before we get to the item rewards, there's going to be 2 lower level methods, because at a lower level, obviously, if you're level 35 and you use a level 5 pet, it's going to be relatively a lot more accurate than being level 135 and using a level 5 pet. So we're going to have methods at a low level as well. Okay, so here is one of the 2 low level methods I mentioned, and we're just on a low level wizard mage player account. I'm actually not going to be using the wizard robes, but I just use them to speed up the quest. I'm going to be using a simple dark armor and a simple earth spell, which some of you may know well. And I'm going to be using it because it's 1 hit. Alright, so let's switch to Darkness Plate. I've got my Darkness Shield and Lore Master's Tome. I'm not going to be using any pets or guests because I think even a 1-hit pet or guest would probably be net negative for how long I can survive against this guy. Again, we are going to be using Liquid Courage, which at this level provides a 25% damage defensive bonus. So not nothing, but nothing crazy either. And we're simply going to be spamming the Boulder Dash spell. Torn Carnage has a really low HP at this level, so it should be only 3 or 4. Wait a minute, is that a real MP cost? 48 MP? So the thing is, I'm level 40, and the spell is level 26, but it should still work. So let's see how this goes. The fact that it's missing a lot is kind of annoying, but it also means that his damage won't ramp very fast. So it's kind of like unwinnable for him. If I miss all my hits, he does no damage. If I hit all my hits, he dies in like 3 spell casts. Yeah, see, like, super easy, not a challenge at a low level. You just have to come prepared with a 1-hit damage effect. And I'm also going to be doing a warrior/ranger method. That's basically just going to be me bonking him to death with a light weapon. So, look forward to that after this cut. Okay. And I actually decided to do the straight up bonking to death method still with mage gear because mages deal the least damage out of any build, and so if a mage can bonk him to death, then so can a warrior or ranger. Now with that being said, I have the wooden staff here, so I'm just going to hit him with the Adventurer no drop, which I think is somewhere between 5 and 10 levels under leveled, so like no matter what your gear set up, if this kills him, anything will. But I'm going to mute the audio and speed up the clip because it's not going to be too interesting. Actually, this will only take like a minute probably, so I'll just talk on through it. But yeah, so this boss, really easy at low levels just because, well, he does still hit pretty hard, but you know, at low levels things are just different. Like the game is not the same at the high level and the low level. I'm not sure why he's exponentially weaker, but like I wouldn't, like here I think I killed him with like 5 auto attacks, or like 4 even. Yeah, I missed one and I hit him 5, so I hit him 5 times. You wouldn't 5 hit him at max level in a basic attacking armor, so some scaling is off or something. But anyways, super easy at low levels. At high levels, as long as you force yourself to miss, he's going to be super easy. There's also the fact he doesn't have a damage cap, he doesn't have freedom. You can stun lock him, you can super choke him or super panic him. There's lots of ways to cheese him too, but those super simple brain dead methods will also work that I just showed. So yeah, next up is going to be the item showcase. So here are the item rewards for this quest. We've got a couple of items. So the Carnage Bringer is a wind dark melee weapon. Simply compresses the 2 elements. It's also a 20 proc, I believe. Nothing too crazy, but it's a nice compression option if you're not too concerned about having a 0 proc weapon. The Lumino, Dragon Reaver Blade, Arrow, and Pyro are light, wind, and earth weapons that are like a Dragon Blade trigger. They deal more damage to dragons, but instead of actually dealing more damage, they inflict a burn. They're certainly useful, but I wouldn't rank them as a high choice for almost any situation, to be honest. War-Torn Heirloom, just like the weapon, is a Dark Wind compression shield. Very handy to have depending on your setup. I used to main this back before I found other Dark and Wind shields that I liked, and honestly before they were even released, so this used to be really awesome. It's still a great source of compression. These titles, of course, are if you were in the war. I wasn't, so no big deal. And finally, the cream of the crop, the Summon Essence of Carnage Guest. On its MP cost version, it will boost your spell damage based on how many hits you connect in that turn. Only attack hits, not spell hits. And it will also heal your mana based off how much damage you deal. The formula for that is very complicated, but basically if you do a lot of damage, you'll heal a lot of MP. I don't know why I showed that. But the SP cost version is the version that people really like most of the time. There is a, first of all, backlash effect. It gives you 50% harm backlash, which is multiplied by 2.3. So it's about 115% harm backlash compared to how much damage you take, which is really strong, obviously. And then there's also a up to 23% melee and ranged damage boost. So for a free-to-play item, that's super powerful, and it's awesome for gold farming, both for the damage boost and for the backlash effect. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later. Spread some peace and love and treat yourself well. Bye bye.